Okay, we're in the world of Tofeir, sewing. Sewing is the malacha. It is the av malacha. What would happen? They would sew beautiful looms on looms, and they would weave fabric to create curtains, create the coverings on the Mishkan. They would sew separate cloths together. This was pretty much the malacha of Tofeir. They would also sew nets that they would catch things with. All of this created an av malacha. You cannot take a needle and thread, not that you may have been planning it anyway, and attach two things together using that needle and that thread. We're dealing here with pliable items. That's really, and you're connecting two sides of the cloth or vinyl or leather using a needle and thread. That's the av malacha. Okay? You want to attach a button to your jacket. You want to sew up a seam that has come undone. That is going to be the problem. So that's pretty simple. However, it gets a little more tricky, not terribly tricky, but a little more tricky when it comes to the toldos. Because in the world of the Av, we're dealing with cloth, we're dealing with sewing with a needle and thread. But the toldot of Tofeir is going to be attaching any two items, lav dafka, which means not necessarily only using a needle and thread. Sticking two things together permanently, that's going to be an important caveat over here. Attaching two things together on a permanent basis is also going to be a tolda, one of the toldot of Tofeir. So, for example, taping a torn page of a book. I ain't sewing it, I'm just taping it down. When I tape down that torn page, how long would I like it to last for? Forever. You can't do it. Sealing an envelope. Now, sealing an envelope is a little bit more tricky because eventually it could be undone. However, people don't even usually undo it at the seam. What do? They do it at the end of the envelope, and you don't know when exactly it's going to be opened. And therefore, that's a tolda. Attaching an adhesive label. You want to return your shoes or something. Well, it's from hachana anyway, preparing it. But attaching a sticky label to a box or something, attaching a postage stamp to an envelope, all these things of being madbik niaros, gluing together leather or paper permanently, is going to be a tolda of it. Wait, yes?
What about putting like sticky notes in the middle of the book?
Great. Hold to sticky notes for a moment, because we're going to see hachana is actually interesting. On the Tofeir question, we're going to see that's going to be an interesting one. If it is done temporarily, as in you want to stick two things together, but you don't want them to last too long, right? Not 24 hours, right? Definitely not 7 days. Then attaching two things together in that scenario would be not a problem. Can you think of an example where you attach two things together on a non-permanent basis? Yeah.
Like if you were to tape like a happy birthday sign on the wall?
Taping a happy birthday sign onto a wall. If your intention is just to put it up temporarily, that could be okay. Cutting the tape on Shabbat, we're going to see, is a problem. Has to be pre-cut, as we shall see. Yeah? Diapers. That's an interesting one. Are you allowed to use diapers on Shabbat? Can you put a diaper on a baby on Shabbat? Why?
It's temporary.
Why is it temporary?
What?
Well, I'll be honest with you, there are some diapers that you could, well, pull-ups, for example, right? Kids at some point when they start to, toilet train, they start to wear pull-ups, and they are sealed. They're basically diapers, which they basically wear, and they just put them on like a pair of underwear.
So you don't stick
But
them.
they're
So they are stuck together. First time you stick them together, and then you let them just put them, and you may keep them on for a couple of days. It used to be in the olden days that when you attached the diapers, they would stick, and if you wanted to remove them, what you had to do was to rip them off. Okay? That was more of a problem. Diapers nowadays are usually made in a way that they open, close, right? Like the front door, right? Open, close, open, close. When you attach it, it wasn't permanent. And in most cases, you're right. When it comes to diapers, you said diapers, right? When it comes to diapers, they're not there for a long period of time. Usually put them on, take them off. But if you have a pull-up that you attach, and the pull-up sticks, and then it's going to be like that for a couple of days, which it could be. A kid could use a pull-up 2-3 nights, they're, making it, sort of say. And then you can reuse it, and you're going to reuse it because they are expensive. Okay, that probably will be a problem. Yeah.
What about whitening strips?
I've
Wouldn't that be coloring?
never been asked that
Isn't
before.
it dyeing?
Diapers, I have diagrams in front of me. I've never heard about that. Hold on to your whitening strip for 1 second.
But wouldn't it be coloring?
It's not
though?
permanent coloring.
Is it Tofeir when it comes to whitening strips? Or are you merely cleaning your teeth?
No, it's not cleaning.
No, it's not cleaning.
It's not
dyeing.
cleaning?
Yeah.
It's not removing dirt, it's actually putting colour on it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not supposed to be that it's like cleaning.
You're opening up a whole different kettle of fish over here. Okay, hold on to your whitening strips for 1 second. The answer is going to be that they are forbidden. I'm just not clear exactly why, but they are forbidden. It's
Teeth
probably
are porous and they
Tofeir. It probably is Tofeir. It's probably a form of colouring. But hold on. The diaper, if your intention is when you close it is to open it, close it. If you end up not, you just dispose of it, then it's okay. So diapers today are permitted, yes.
What about tying two things together? Like shoelaces.
Shoelaces, buttons, Velcro, zippers. Why are you allowed to button your jacket or to zip up your jacket? You're taking 2 pieces of cloth and you're attaching them. It ain't permanent. That's pretty much it. Your intention is, I'm going to zip it, but eventually today, I'm going to unzip it. If you were to have a scenario where you were to tie it, zip it, well, tying we did already, that was kosher, that was the last 2 malachas ago. But if your intention is to attach it, zip it, to Velcro it for a long period of time, that would be a problem. But general, putting all these things together, Velcro and tabs, all these things are okay on Shabbat.
What about like a jigsaw puzzle that you don't want to break ever?
A jigsaw puzzle we are going to come to, and that is actually not going to fit into Tofeir. Right? We're going to see that a little bit later. We're going to come to that a little bit later. That's not Tofeir. Tofeir is attaching. That is just resting one next to the other. Okay? More a problem of Kosev over there. This is just attaching 2 items via a third party, whether it be glue or tape or something else. Which takes us to Yael. Is that your name? No, sorry, what's your name again? Sarah, I'm sorry. That brings us to you when you talk about post-it notes. Can you use a post-it note on Shabbat? Or those like sticky thingies?
That's permanent. Unless you're like moving it like
I don't know. Post-it notes, are they used permanently?
I mean longer than a week sometimes. If you're using it like say to like mark where
Oh,
you
those,
were.
you could close the zipper for more than a week. I guess the question is it your intention? People use post-it notes, they leave it there for a long period of time.
I mean,
I feel like post-it notes
Usually.
are permanent even if you want them.
They could be permanent, but usually they're not. Usually they fall off. They don't have that kind of. But well, they could. If you stuck into a book, actually, it could be.
Yeah, but that's not really. Like,
Generally, they say it's probably okay. Even actually, technically, using a push pin, like a synagogue with a cork board with a push pin, they stick in there as well. Right? It's not really attaching it anyway, and just having it there on a temporary basis.
You can do
That
it.
could probably okay as well. Yeah.
But isn't
I
it like
don't see a reason why you can't do it. What?
Isn't it like destroying the board because you're like pushing into
Who
it?
says you can't destroy something on Shabbat?
No.
This kind of thing you wouldn't be allowed to do on Shabbat. You're right, we're going to come to that a little bit later. But we'll see why. We're not there yet, so don't jump your guns.
What about magnets?
Great question. What about magnets? On magnets, you have like a magnet stick on the fridge. You use a magnet to stick something to the fridge. So, really, it's a hard item. Hard items do not apply to this so much. Even so, they say that... Okay? Bird outside? Yeah, happens. They say magnets could be attaching it to something else. You should probably be more careful playing with magnets, because a magnet can stay for quite a while. You stick to the fridge for quite a while, but let's say it's like a post-it note, and then probably okay. So it's a little bit...
Even if you're moving it around the fridge?
I think moving around the fridge is not the worst.
It's not like permanently on like one.
He brings down that you should try to avoid using magnets on Shabbat. That's what he brings down. I'm not exactly sure why it's so bad, because they move around nowadays. People don't stick them forever, but the ones on the fridge. But it probably says you shouldn't play with them in general. Yeah, Sarah?
So how about if you were putting post-it notes into a book that you were going to go back to and look later after Shabbat? Would that be hakana?
It's funny. I actually do that myself. I hope it's not. The chances are you could open that book again and move it around.
Right.
You're not necessarily doing it for after. You're actually planning for after Shabbat. It could be right now. It'll be I'll look at the book again in an hour or so. It could be. If you know you're never going to look at it again, it could be a problem. But if you're just sticking it there for a little bit later, it could be a look at it. It may not be a problem of hachana.
But what if it's to look at it specifically after Shabbat?
Then that's hachana.
Okay.
Wait, did you say you can't play with magnets?
I said magnets on a fridge, right? He brings down that you should try to avoid. I'm not
But why would
precisely
that be a
sure why it's so
problem?
bad.
They're not attached. That's not.
You're attaching it to another server. You're attaching two items together. They're hard items. They're not very pliable. I'm not sure. He brings down to avoid it. We'll come to it 1 second. Before I get there, I want to talk about safety pins for 1 second. How about a safety pin? The hem of your dress, or your husband or your kid's pants unravel at the bottom, and you want to attach them with a safety pin.
What if you
How about that? Is that considered to be Tofeir or not?
No.
Now you're dealing with cloth,
Yeah.
and you're attaching.
That's not permanent.
It's
What,
the same thing with
what
like
if you
buttons.
plan on taking it off before?
So that's the question. Is it like buttons? Right? That means I'm just doing it temporarily. Well, I'm just temporarily just hold it up right now. But that's not my long-term solution. Which for most females, it's not. But then you get a young yeshiva boy like myself, who will be wearing a pair of pants with a safety pin for weeks, if not months. I'm being too serious. So a part that comes down to your kavanah. They say that one way of knowing is the way you attach it. For some reason, I'm not sure exactly why, they say if you just penetrate you perforate, I should say, the cloth twice with a pin. 1, 2, and then attach. That is less permanent than 3 or 4 times, where you just sew it through. 3 or 4 times you definitely can't do. But putting a safety pin, some say it depends on the size, right? A big safety pin it could last a long time. There's little tiny ones, yeah. But if your intention is to use like that and leave it like that for a while, then I think 7 days is considered to be for a while. If that's your intention, putting it on Shabbat, they're going to keep it like this. I mean, could you wear the hem of a dress with a safety pin, holding it together, and for quite a while? That could last you quite a while, I guess, right? That could last you weeks, if not months. But if your intention is, I'm just going to hold it like this, and then at some point later on, my plan is to remove it and sew it up completely, then that would be permitted. And therefore, pinning for a permanent matter is a problem, but for temporary, you have who to rely upon. Okay? You can pin up the hem of your dress, cuff trousers, in a temporary fashion. Some people do it in a very temporary way. They just like loosely do it. They don't do it in a way that's going to last them a long time. They just loosely attach it 1, 2, and that's it. Okay? Velcro, same thing. Right? It's temporary. The 2 sides just stick together. It's like a hairy thing under the attachment. It sticks, undoes, you know? That's going to be okay.
Well, why is that different than magnets?
Yeah, no. It's a name for.
I'm putting Velcro in the same category as buttons that you do and undo. That's what we're saying when it comes to Velcro. Magnets, you stick somewhere. I'm not sure. He brings down, he doesn't like the magnets. I'm just telling you.
So it's allowed? You think?
Yeah, Velcro is definitely okay. While it should seem the use of magnets is comparable to Velcro, some post nevertheless question whether sticking magnets to a metal surface is permissible. Therefore, one should not place magnets on the refrigerator on Shabbos Yom Tov, particularly if they're there for a long time. So he seems to go strict on it. Again, I don't really see it, but that seems to be the suction cups. Right? Your kids have suction cups, suction bowls. They stick onto a surface. So once again, it's temporary. It's okay. How about a Band-Aid? Can you put on a Band-Aid on Shabbat?
What's the Tofeir?
They can last for days.
They can last for days. Right? Until one of my daughter's house, I go to the shower and leave it at the bottom of the shower. It doesn't last for days.
But at what point is it not permanent?
So we're saying, okay, so 7 days when it comes to hemming up a dress or something. But even 24 hours, some say. Something like this, 24 hours. So can you use a Band-Aid on Shabbat?
If you're going by the 7 days thing, then
Might get
yeah.
Think about where you put the Band-Aid on.
You might get infected.
Okay,
Like,
so clean it up, use iodine, and I don't know, wrap it up or something else.
Whatever you're covering up is going to heal eventually, so it's not there permanent.
No, I'm attaching it for more than 24 hours. I want to put it on for more than 24 hours.
Yeah, like it get really permanent.
What do you think about it?
But what's not permanent?
The thing.
I'm not about the wound. I don't have a wound. I like to stick Band-Aids onto my skin. I have a thing. I like to walk around
My
with
cousin-
Hello Kitty Band-Aids.
No, my cousin did that. It's
And,
not a joke.
my son is like, oh, I got a boob on a Band-Aid. They want Band-Aids, so you stick a Band-Aid on them. All right, they want Band-Aids. You got a Hello Kitty, or you have a Daffy Duck, whatever, and you stick it on them all. What's the other one? Oh, Dora the Explorer Band-Aid. Oh,
I always had to buy those for my
always
cousin.
Dora the Explorer Band-Aids, right? Put on my skin. Can you put it on? So the interesting answer is Tofeir does not apply on skin.
Wait, what?
Tofeir does not apply on skin. We're attaching two items. Your skin is not considered to be an item. Therefore, you can put on a Band-Aid. Now, we're going to talk about getting the Band-Aid out of the paper wrapping a little bit later. Okay, that's going to be the next one. That's going to be Koreya. We're going to get there in a second. But before we get there, actually attaching a Band-Aid to your skin is okay. Yeah. Can you what?
Stitches.
That's a good question. That's a questionable thing. That's questionable. There are doctors, religious doctors, who will, unless they see a major, but usually a wound can open, stay for 24 hours, and still attach very, very well. They'll say, "I'll come." They'll treat it to make sure that it's not, going to get infected, and they will say, "Come back in 24 hours." Some doctors will do it, and some will not do it. Ideally, they say try to get a non-Jewish doctor to do it. I happen to have a good friend of mine who's a plastic surgeon, and hey. Emergency rhinoplasty. You got to sew. But he'll deal with hands many times, and he will actually do it. But there are those that will not do a.
I don't see the issue.
Wait, like he does emergency
Um,
on Shabbos?
that's true.
Where I don't see
True.
the
The truth is, you're attaching the Band-Aid, but here it's more permanent, I think, and it's one to the other. He brings down it's a problem. One second. Hold your horses. I thought we spoke about it. Some posts contend that Tofeir does not apply to the skin of a living creature. According to their view, suturing a wound would not be a malach of deraisa of Tofeir. However, other prominent posts can maintain there is no basis between human skin or any other material in this regard. Therefore, they rule that Tofeir does fully apply to the human body. In conclusion, this halachic controversy, one should adopt a stringent attitude with regard to suturing a wound on Shabbos. Therefore, suturing a wound requires stitches, which can be sutured by a non-Jewish surgeon. They say by butterfly Band-Aids, it could be lesser of a problem. Actually, yeah, we had this. We had a kid come to us for Shabbos, smashed his face. They take him to the doctor, walked to the doctor, don't ask. It was me and my wife. It wasn't even our kid. His parents were away, left him in our capable hands. Ended up having to have stitches, and he made a cut over here. And he didn't do stitches, but he used the glue. You have the glue thing now
Oh, yeah.
that burns a little bit, and it attaches the thing together. And he did it.
That's okay.
That's the same thing.
That is lesser of a problem than stitching. He wouldn't do stitches, this guy, but he would do that. He said, if stitches come back Matzah Shabbos, I'll do it for you. By Matzah Shabbos, it'll be fine. It was a clean cut, no problem. But he said, Matzah Shabbos comes to me for that. But for this thing, for the thing, he seemed to be more okay with it. Band-aids, however, are okay. It's a temporary thing. However, when you apply the Band-aid, you have to apply the entire thing to the skin. You can't loop, or you shouldn't loop the Band-aid onto itself. So if it's on a finger where it has to kind of double up, then you should do it on a spiral, they say. You shouldn't attach it one to the other, because a Band-aid can stay in your hand for, you see kids walking around with Band-aids for days and weeks sometimes, you know? Therefore, that's the way you should do it, okay? So especially with kids, if you have it on your finger, you should spiral it, you shouldn't attach it to itself. That is how to put a Band-aid on Shabbat. Yeah?
Is when it goes back to the stitching thing versus the gluing, is it just because the stitches is so much closer to sewing and like the av malacha that it's a problem?
I think so. Think so. All right? He brings down sticking push pins into a cork-backed bulletin board is forbidden. I have a mother that is permitted, and therefore do whatever your local synagogue, local Orthodox rabbi tells you to do. Okay? Did we do everything? Second. Sorry. Binders. Using a binder on Shabbat, closing a binder, or the one where you push down the lever and it sticks it together is? Okay. Yeah. You're not really attaching, you're just holding it together very tightly. It's actually being attached one to the other. So that's okay. Paper clips are also permitted. They're just holding the papers together. So if you see a rabbi using a paper clip on Shabbos and reattaching his little speech with paper clips, that's also okay. Binders, Band-aids. Stapling, however, is prohibited, even for less than 24 hours, because that's actually using an item to attach it. So you cannot staple on Shabbat. And safety pins, we said, depends on your intention when putting it together. Yes?
Yes, I have a quick question about diapers. So we said where a lot of people want to use the agency off and on. But when you close the diaper to throw it out, you're sticking it and you're throwing it out, so the stick is going to kind of be permanent.
Yeah, but you're not really getting any benefit from it. You're just disposing it from it at that point, so that's okay. You're just like sticking it out and just throwing it away. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Tofeir is done. Malacha 24. We're getting close to the end. We're not going to reach the end. Say that right now, but we are close. And that is Koreya. Koreya. Now this is going to be a tricky one. Koreya. Koreya, we're going to call tearing, but really that's not a great translation, because we're going to see there are times we can tear. So what is being torn and for what purpose, once again, is going to be the question. Okay? And we're on page 110, 111. Oh, we've done so much. How exciting. Okay, tearing. What was the Av Malacha? We always start with the Av Malacha, as you know. So this is a bit tricky. The tearing that was done in the Mishkan was a positive tearing. Tearing for a constructive purpose. How could tearing ever be constructive? By definition, isn't tearing destructive? So the answer seems to be that they would tear a fabric that they wanted to re-sew or something else in order to benefit it. So what they used to do is you have an item that was kind of maybe torn a little bit, then they would detach it, like let's say it was attached through sewing, and they would detach it, right? They would rip through this thread that was holding it together so that they could re-sew it. So although they were tearing, it was being torn for a positive purpose. So tearing, that is positive, is going to be the problem. Tearing that is destructive is not going to be a problem. Tearing an item, an item, like tearing open a hem in order to lengthen the garment or to re-sew it differently or better, right? Or what they used to have in the old days, they used to actually wear items of clothing. It was literally a piece of cloth, like a poncho with no hole in it, and they'd have to cut the hole to get the head in. So they would tear the poncho, this big piece of cloth, and they would wear it. That tearing is constructive, because now I can stick my head through it and make it into an item. That's a classic example of Koreya that is forbidden. And Koreya is where both sides of the tear are benefiting from the tear, from the Koreya. Meaning when you cut that hole in the cloth, now both sides, if you think about it, are now being benefited over here. That is what we are talking about. If only one side, like a measured cut, that's also a problem, but that's machatek, another malacha. In the world of Korea, I'm cutting in order to improve. So maybe think of the poncho as the best example, or I'm going to rip open the hem to make my skirt longer or my pants longer. That is going to be the of malacha of Korea. It's got to be permanent. It's got to be performed for a benefit. If it's destructive, like I take a tissue out of the box and I blow my nose, and in the process of blowing my nose, I blow a hole through the tissue, or it rips, is that tissue better now than it was before? No. It has been destroyed. Right? That's called derech hashchasa. It is now destroyed, and by that process, it has now become unusable. Yeah.
So why can't you rip grass? Or like rip off the leaf from a tree?
That is kotzer. That's another malacha.
So it's not tearing.
No. If, by the way, if you were to break a piece of wood deliberately in order to use the pieces, then it would be. That would be a problem here as well. It would be included here. Just by walking along though and cracking pieces of wood underneath you as you walk, there's a branch over there, like a little thin branch, that's okay. Right? That's not my intention. There's nothing beneficial comes out of it, right? It's Mocheshesu Lagufa, if you remember, all those many moons ago, those 4 red moons ago we discussed this. That's okay. If you're going to start chopping wood with your hand or something else in order to use the wood, that's a problem, yeah.
How is this different from a kalkal, like what we learned in the beginning?
It is a form of kilkul. If it's used for destructive purposes, then we're going to use that same principle. We'll just call something different derech hashchasa. You're just destroying it. Right, using kilkul in order to do it. But if it's construct, then it's not kilkul. If it's constructive, like we said, the examples we gave, that will be a problem. These rules do not apply by food, actual food, not the wrappers around food. That we're going to talk about. Oh, that we're going to talk about. But food itself is not a problem. If you want to slice bread perfectly, that's okay. It's not machatech, it's not Koreya. You want to cut a steak or whatever, that's okay. We're talking about non-food items that you're cutting constructively. That's going to be a problem. You cannot tear paper, plastic, or aluminum foil. Although technically speaking, they are not really part of Koreya, because Koreya, we said both sides are being beneficial and don't really apply to pliable items like this, which are paper or plastic, because some say they don't apply to the things, but machatech does, so I must mention it. You cannot rip aluminum foil or saran wrap off of a roll on Shabbat. Right? You're now measuredly cutting. You have to have pre-cut or, basically, pre-cut aluminum or pre-cut papers, or you can't cut off on a bounty roll, right? That jagged cut on a bounty roll, you cannot cut through that on Shabbat. That is totally forbidden, and that is machatech. Okay?
So isn't that what the problem about toilet paper is?
Toilet paper we're going to come to. Hold your toilet paper. Hold it, Whitney. Yes.
You said you can't tear paper?
You cannot tear paper. If you have a newspaper that is attached to the top, sometimes in newspaper and it's still attached, you can't cut through that. You have 2 pages of book, they're attached to the top, the printer didn't. That's positive use, exactly. I'm now getting positive use. Although that particular edge is not using me, the book is now better for me, the newspaper is now better for me, I'm cutting through it, that's forbidden.
Wait, but then why couldn't you tear the bounty if the reason using it is going to be destroyed?
The actual cutting itself is now making it we're saying the tearing while you're using it is not a problem. That's destructive. But when you take the bounty off the roll, that is a machatik, that is a definite and usable edge you now have, that is totally forbidden. All of those cuttings, toilet paper. When it comes to tissue boxes, listen to the rabbi's insanity. But this is what I learned and this is what I do. I come back from Costco with those massive, Costco. By the way, the best store in the entire world. You can buy everything. They're the most random objects in mass. You can go and buy milk or a speedboat. There's no other store in the whole world. You just buy like massive amounts of things you just never need, So you go to Costco and you buy those big boxes full of the tissue boxes. Those tissue boxes, for some reason, are like Fort Knox. You've got to get through a whole series of combinations to get inside. First of all, you've got the hard cardboard on top, which is perforated, right? You can't take that thing off on Shabbos. Then they have another plastic thing which has got it's attached by a couple of points, and you run your finger along it, dip, 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 right? 3 or 4, oh, best feeling. You can't do that on Shabbos either. That's also Koreya. So what I do is, when it arrives, which I like doing by the way, I empty the whole thing out, and then I rip literally 40 of these boxes and cut through all of them. Because eventually one kid's going to pull it out on Shabbos and be like, oh, Abba, I need to, use the... So that is the way to do it. Pre-cut everything. I'm giving you halachic gold over here. I'm saving your marriages. You should thank me for this. Okay? Open them all up beforehand, then trying to get it back in. Obviously, I'm trying to get it back in. They don't fit back in for some reason. But I don't know how they pack it in there. But that's the way to do it. You pre-cut everything. And I see many rabbis, when they're sure they'll rip everything open and make sure it's all ready to go. They'll pre-cut everything in preparation. And that is a mitzvah, by the way. That's preparing for Shabbos, you should know. Okay? And in the old days, I remember, when we were kids, you had to pre-cut toilet paper. You have big sacks of toilet paper. Now, by the way, there are some tissue boxes which Costco's Kirkland brand does not have a problem with, where you pull up one tissue and it's still attached to the one underneath. Not through, just being stuck together, but it's actually still, held on by a couple of nicks. You've seen that before? You pull up one tissue, it's still attached to the other one.
Like Lysol.
Yeah, that's really a problem. That's actually created that way. That you cannot use on Shabbos. Or you can use it, but you can use the whole box.
But the other ones you can't use either, right?
If it's still attached by paper, you pull it, and it's just two little niggets, dick, dick. And by pulling it, bring it up, can't use it on Shabbos.
What if you tear it and destroy it in a way?
You can't do that. You can't do that. And now we're going to see, if you're using it for a bathroom, we'll see, for a toilet covered abrius, right, to honor a person, the rabbis allowed it. We said, if you remember, off the perforation, but it's only to wipe yourself. To blow your nose or something, no. Okay? That's why we say you can do it by going off the perforation with a shinui, right? Whether you do it with 2 hands or something, or your left hand with a finger like that, or you leave it attached and just put it inside the bath toilet and then just flush it and let it just roll through, which I don't recommend. Leads to a soggy end. However, that would technically work over here. How about this question? Let's say you got a pair of boots, or there is a price tag that is attached to your garment from those little plastic strips.
That's Nicaraguan, because you don't need the...
Are you allowed to? But isn't it Korea?
Yeah, but it's not, it's destructive, it's not...
I'm now benefiting it. Beforehand, I couldn't wear this jacket. It's got this price tag sticking off it from the store that was handled with a plastic piece, right? Or the 2 boots are held together by a plastic tag. Those plastic tag things that attach the shoes together, right? You can't walk around with it, and I'm going to cut it.
So let's go there.
It's what?
Cutting. It's not tearing.
I'm tearing it. I'm tearing it. I'm cutting it.
With
Fine, machatech. Yeah,
so you're not allowed.
you are. You can do it. You can even use a pair of scissors to cut it.
No.
You got a price tag on you? Look at Shani's like, I don't believe it. It cannot be. Chas v'shalom. This rabbi is crazy. It's reformy.
You're not allowed to use scissors on Shabbat.
Yeah. For a constructive purpose, you are actually allowed to use scissors to do this. You got the little cord that's holding together the shoes, take a pair of scissors, cut it. You got a price tag, not when it's attached to the actual item itself. You have to cut off when it's sewn in. That's a problem. I think. Yeah. But if it's like a plastic tag where you're not actually yeah, that's a problem. But whereas you're not actually changing the item. It's not muck of a patich. It's not a final fix up to the item. It's wearable with or without the tag. Cut through it even with a pair of scissors. You're good to go. You are allowed to. It is permitted. You can take a pair of scissors and cut off that plastic tab with a price on it and remove it. It's not a part of the item. It was just attached to it. It's not Koreya. You just get rid of it, right? It's a pliable item. Not a problem. What? You can't take that off anyway. If you can, you're a thief. Yeah. What does it look like? I don't know what you're talking about. Not a problem. Take it off and wear it. Is it wearable without it? Could you wear it with that item on it? Why not? Whoa. Is it sewn together? Can you wear? I think could you wear this item? Okay, you look like an idiot. I understand you're wearing a tag. I get that. Although nowadays people wear tags on their hats, everything like that. But I'm saying in a situation where you could still wear it with it still on. Technically, could you wear it? Fine. Don't worry about embarrassing. You could wear it. It's fine. You can remove it. If you have, by the way, sometimes I know in men's suits they have sewn pockets. They actually stitch the pockets shut. You seen this? You can't open that on Shabbos.
But that's sewing. It's different.
Yeah.
What about if you have, besides like a price tag, like an itchy clothing tag, and you want to take it off on Shabbat? And
What's an itchy toe clothing tag?
like a tag that says your size. Itching you.
No.
But without
It's attached. You got to cut. That's actually affecting the item. You're making the item better. That's attached to the item on a pump. No, that you cannot do.
A guy can do it for me, right?
Probably. If it's annoying you, you got to go to do it. I guess, yeah. Not the worst thing. What?
Can you detach the tag if it's not for the clothes, it's for the tag? You own the tag?
Why would you want the tag? Oh, to keep the tag?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it. It's muksa though. You should just cut it somewhere and let it fall down somewhere. Cut it over the garbage or cut it over somewhere else. Okay, walking on twigs and branches, we said is fine. That was cutting it. Cutting a shoelace short or cutting a piece of string short. All this obviously is forbidden. Okay. Let's get to the major part of this, and we'll finish this off today, Miss Asher. We consider Koreya to apply to all materials. There is machloket, but we consider it to be all materials: cloth, plastic, paper, carbon, aluminum, and the like. Okay. Are you allowed to open a bag of chips on Shabbos?
Yeah.
What's the problem? Don't say yes or no. What's the problem and what's the solution? Or maybe there isn't a solution. Maybe you have to pre-open all your
You're
bag of
tearing and
chips.
benefiting from the tag.
So you would say it's forbidden.
I mean, I know it's not. But
Like you're giving me the side why it would be forbidden. Right? You're tearing it. You're benefiting from the tear. Anyone else give me the opposite?
Yes, you're not using the plastic, you're using what's inside it.
But you're making it a
So that's an interesting. You're not using the bag itself. You're using what's inside the bag. The bag just happens to be in the way. Add to that, more importantly, that the bags are flimsy. No one usually keeps the chips bags after they're flimsy. What do you do with them when you finish the chips? You throw them in the garbage. So the cutting itself hasn't really done anything for me. And by opening the chip bag, I've actually destroyed it. Although I've opened it on the seam, I've destroyed it because it's of no use to me anymore.
then I don't understand the difference between that and the paper towel. Because a paper towel, you're not, it's the same, like you're not
Because
using the cut.
the cutting itself, the paper towel, the bounty, the cutting itself has now made
you're
this
not benefiting
item
directly
usable.
from it.
I am. I could have used it without that. So now I'm benefiting directly from the cut itself. That cut
So you
itself
can't
is
use the
now
chips
benefiting me.
without opening
Here,
the bag.
okay, fine. Here, by cutting the bounty, let's make it easier. Cutting the bounty, it's usable, this thing. right? Opening a bag of chips,
Now you can eat them.
I've destroyed it. The cutting itself has destroyed the bag. Cutting the bounty has now made it usable. When I open that bag, it's considered destroyed because it's a very light, flimsy packet, and therefore it's okay. And this is not only by foodstuffs. If you want to have your plastic spoons or in a bag, you open it, and many people open it in a way that destroys the entire bag and is no longer usable, and they'll take all the items out, to be strict about it. And they'll open it up, opening chip bags, or you open any other container where it's destroyed by doing it.
So you can't open a chip bag and then like save the rest for later?
Probably not. Probably not. If some stayed in there, not the worst thing, because it's so light and flimsy, we don't apply the idea of Koreya to that item at all. Yeah.
So what did you say about the Band-Aid covers? What happens to them?
So over there, Band-Aid cover, can I open a Band-Aid cover on Shabbat? And the answer is, they'll say yeah, because I'm just ripping it. The cover's now become unusable. It's gone through destruction. I cannot cut through letters, remember that? Right, we're going to get to that a little bit later. You cannot cut through letters. It's own malacha, mochek, of cutting through letters, destroying letters of a word. You can cut between letters, and around them you cannot cut through them, which opening a splendid packet on Shabbat becomes an art of surgery. Like, my kids watch me like, what are you, mad? Around the S, there's always one S that's right up there. Or opening for some reason. And someone should, Tafuti Cuties, it's a from company, they have like a sandwich thing, a part of sandwich bar, and the writing is all over. It's like a racing car driver, it's like writing all over it. It's an annoying thing, and it's a from company.
But can you open? But it's like sealed.
The opening is okay. Going through the letters, I'm saying, is a problem. Opening it, the Koreya side is not a problem at all. I'm talking about just getting through the letters. You try doing that with Tafuti Cutie. It don't happen. Yeah. Lame neck. That's a tough question. I'm not sure.
Why not? So we can cut the plastic.
That's different because that is not creating something. You're just removing it. Here you're making an opening with it. That I think is more problematic. That we don't do.
What's the difference between ripping it and
Don't think so because one is destructive. When you use it, it may be more of a splendid pack. It's probably going to destroy it anyway.
Even if you're opening, once you open it, it's destroyed. It's like it's flimsy. It's not like you're gonna be keeping that thing whatever it is. You're just opening to get food. You're not opening to get bad.
Okay, let me look into that one. Did you give me? I wasn't ready for that. That bomba kasha you just threw at me, like a nuclear bomb on my head. No, don't apologize. Good question. Good question. Okay, so thin wrapping is okay. Let me give you some more examples so you get used to the idea. You have like the thing over the wine. You have it's a double wrapping, right? It has to be. If it's not mavushal, you have the metal thing up. You have the cork inside. Okay, ripping that thing is fine. Just don't go through the letters. Taking a cork out is not a problem at all. We said it's not attached. It's just held in place. You can definitely remove a cork, not a problem. But taking that plastic thing on, that metal, that cover, you just take it off, you just discard it. It's not doing anything. You rip right through it. It's destroying. That's totally okay. You want to open a container of yogurt, Band-Aid wrappers, all these things, packets of salt, sugar, coffee, all these things you can rip. They're okay. If they are perforated, they're a problem.
Like a soda can.
Hold on to your soda can. Hold on. We'll get there in a second. Yeah?
You know those like pretzel chips that or something like that you tear it, but then there's a zip thing to reseal it?
That's a great question as well. You're saying you rip off the top of it, and then there's like a little extra thing, like this big Costco bag that lasts you a long time.
They're resealable.
Sometimes they're perforated, they're a problem.
But you're throwing out the part that you ripped off. Right?
Yeah, but now you're benefiting from the
Yeah, but don't you have to benefit from both ends?
for Koreya both ends, for Machata it's just one end. I think it's okay. And then afterwards you just have to use that thing to seal it. I think it's okay.
But there's like a little tab that says tear here, you know.
That's not a problem. If it has a little design that says, here's where you tear, that's just for idiots who are like, maybe you tear in the middle. Right? It's just telling you where to go. If it's got a little indent in the side, it's fine. If it's just started the cut for you, saying if it's perforated like toilet paper or Bounty, that's a problem. If it's just started the rip for you, you're just going to continue the rip. I don't believe that's a problem. I don't believe so. I could be wrong, I don't believe so. Okay? You can open the wrapping around. You've got a candy box with a plastic wrapping around it. All these examples of things you can do. You can rip it off. It's totally okay.
Like the plastic?
Yeah, the plastic, they hermetically seal these things. They're just to seal freshness. They're okay. You can just rip it open. That's definitely okay. So basically, potato chips, candy cellophane that is sealed shut, all these things are okay. They're flimsy and they can be open. Okay. 2, bags made of firm material. Okay? Like heavy-duty plastic bags which are sealed on top containing fruits. Okay? Matzah boxes or tissue dispensers, all these kind of things. So we said, just tearing off the perforation, and that is forbidden.
What?
Just taking where the perforation is a problem.
So cereal boxes are a no-no?
So 1 second. There are people who are lenient when it comes to the gluey part of a cereal box. I'm saying there's machloketes. Some people will not do it. They could open it by destroying the box, right? If they were able to do it, but again, knife just like cutting right through it. That they could probably do. But opening it on the gluey part, sealed box of cookie, cereal, and matzah may not be opened by tearing it actually on the gum lid. Melting the glue with steam is also prohibited. In time of need, you can open these packages by destroying the box of carton and removing the contents. So he's strict. There are those who are lenient and say that it was designed that way anyway, and that's just a temporary closure, and therefore it's okay. There are people who are lenient with it, but there are people who are strict as well. Ideally, you should try to open up all these items before Shabbat. In the case of emergency, an emergency doesn't mean like real emergency, like the kid wants cereal, and that's cereal they want. You can destroy it, just rip it open so that it's not used, and just empty out. Once you empty out all the contents, you're basically saying just destroy the thing. You just dispose of it. Yeah.
So you say you're allowed to open it on that dotted line?
If it's just got a picture of a dotted line, yes. If it's
like-
perforated, if they've actually cut it in for you, that's different.
Wait, why?
They've begun the process. That's like more of a malech machsheva. You're actually on the dotted line. It's more of a constructive thing. Juice cartons, milk cartons. How about that? Can you open up? You know, like you fold over the edge. They still have these nowadays. You pull it back and you spout it. Turns to a spout.
Oh yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Um,
You ever talk about carton? Orange juice?
I know somebody who doesn't.
Or milk? You push it up?
I know somebody who doesn't. So they're probably machlokas.
Using. So your point is, you know someone who does it. There's much more.
No, so it might be machlokas. That's what I'm saying.
No, but it's not really perforated.
But at the same
though.
time, that's what design.
Doesn't have to be perforated. We just give examples of perforation. Opening an item in which leaves the item to be by allowed to be opened a certain way, it can now be used. You can't take a pair of scissors and just clip off the end and now so that you can have this item to peer in and out
Why
of.
not?
Because you've made a tear which is now constructive that's going to be used for a long period of time. But the spout thing, so it is actually a machloket. Some people say you shouldn't do it, right? If you just cut through and destroy the thing and empty out the contents, then it's okay. We're saying by the gluey bit that's stuck in, by you just like push back and then pull it out. Some say no, and some say they maintain the glue spout is merely a temporary seal, right? Meant to prevent leakage during shipping and handling, and therefore it's not a problem. And it's not makabah patish because it's a temporary item anyway. So the answer is some are strict and some are lenient, and the same is going to apply when it comes to the top of the milk, which has got the loopy part on top. You know the top of the milk carton? So how about that? So ideally try to do it before Shabbat, but he actually brings down that you should try to take it off the entire thing without removing that plastic rim that you take off. But once again, there are people who are lenient with it as well. There are people who are lenient with that as well. Now this is slightly different. This is slightly different. This item over here, there's like a ring binder over here, and it's a technical, see over here? Show and tell with Rabbi. And it's perforated, right? It's a technical bit. So you would have thought you can't take this off. So here, many people, not everyone, some are strict, but many people are lenient when it comes to plastic tops like this. The answer is because by cutting it, the cutting stuff isn't doing anything. It's not making any, this item over here, some say it's rigid plastic, not a problem at all. But this item does not become any better by the actual taking off. And second of all, is it possible that you could undo it and the whole thing comes off?
Yeah.
That does happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes you take it off and
Yeah, but
the
that's like-
whole thing comes off with it.
It's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. It's not a psik resha that's going to happen anyway. Some people are strict. It smells like coffee. Coffee in a bottle. Some people are strict with it, and they won't open these metal caps on Shabbat. But some say the ripping itself some say it's not Koreya at all because it's a hard item. Okay, and they say hard plastic is not subject to Koreya. It's a soft item if you remember that was original. But some say it could be makabah patish. So that's important. Which means when you take off the top, this item is now a new vessel. So with plastic tops, that's not a problem because it was an item beforehand. It was made into a cup and it was put on top. Some, however, are more strict with metal, and I personally am as well, I know many are. Metal caps are made in where it's a piece of sheet, comes like that. By taking it off, you're creating a new vessel over here. Although you say, well, I never use it, someone could use it for some positive purpose, and therefore, many people will destroy the top of the metal cup, metal top, by puncturing it, so when it opens, it's not a usable vessel either.
But I don't get the difference between that.
Because plastic, you talking about plastic or metal?
Yeah.
Plastic, they say, is not a problem with Korea because it's a hard, brittle substance, unlike cardboard or paper cereal box. That's point number one. Point number two, well, there's another malacha of creating a new item on Shabbat. It was a new item before Shabbat. They just attached it in the factory. It was a plastic cup, and they put it on top. That's how they put lids on. Metal is made differently. Metal is a sheet that is punched like that on top, punched on top. When you open it, it becomes an item for the first time. The bottle is not the problem. The cap is. The cap is the problem. So therefore, many people are strict with it. So how do you get out? How do you want to open a Perrier bottle or a Pellegrino bottle at Shabbat? And what they'll do is they'll stab it, make a little puncture hole, and then they'll open it. Because when they open it, it's not a functioning item now that it's open. So they'll get out of it that way.
We Filipino caps on metal.
Yeah.
So you have to puncture a hole first.
Or open it before Shabbat.
Weren't
Or puncture.
Pellegrino caps weren't they caps before like the plastic ones?
I'm not 100% sure. I heard I'm not sure. If they are, that's not a problem. I don't believe so. I believe it's a metal cap and they attach to the bottle straight away.
So
That's how they make metal caps, I've heard.
with tuna cans.
Hold on, tuna cans, 1 second. Tuna cans, hold on, tuna cans. Soda cans, let's do soda cans. You want to do soda cans? 1 second. Your soda can? Yeah, soda can, soda can. Soda can, you want soda? Okay, right. Soda cans. So we have the same challenge over here. Are you creating this new item? Some say no, because when it was attached to another part. They don't put it in a little hole, they put the tab on top. So it may not be makabah patish. Are you Koreya over here? So some people are strict, some are lenient. What can I say to you? Some people say it's a temporary item, you open it, you empty out all the contents, and if you're going to keep some stuff in there and use it backwards and forwards, that's not good. You empty out the entire item, you're going to just scrunch it and put it in the garbage, lenient. Some say, no, you're forming a hole over here, it's Koreya, and some people are strict. It's a shaila. Some are lenient, some are strict. That's when we get to this item as well. Okay? Metal tuna cans. Some say, well, we've got the same problem. Let's say it's hard metal, so maybe it's makabah patish. You're creating a new item, it's a final completion of something. So people use tuna can, to the can itself now.
The can was already a can.
That
They
not at that point it
around
wasn't.
the tuna.
It was made. It's actually not attached. It's attached to the bottom, and they put it. And they basically they manufacture it. So that's the first time that top is being opened. So the metal can now is being opened at that point for the first time and can be used. So some people are lenient, and they will open it with a can opener, and they will empty out the entire contents, fold it in, throw it away.
Wait, why is that the
Some
first
people
time?
will, because I believe it's not open. What you open is not what was open before in order to put the items inside. It was open on the bottom
So
and
we're
they
opening
seal
on
it.
the
So you
bottom.
open on the other side. But you're not at that exact point where they seal it. They seal it around. You look at the bottom, it's like coming up on the edge, I believe. So you cut through it. So some people are lenient open completely. Some people are strict and puncture The bottom, which my wife does actually, I think, she stabs it, got to be careful, with an item. It's got a hole in it, so when it opens up, it's now not a usable item. Right? And some people just don't open tuna cans at all, open all tuna cans for Shabbat. Those are your 3 options, depending upon your religiosity. Yes. You got the same problem. You got the same challenge.
Wouldn't that be
That's
where
the
it
question
was
is,
open before then?
they don't, no, absolutely not. They don't seal it by that. They create a metal with a pull tab on it and they attach that to it. So that's the same thing. If you're going to dispose of it, some say destroy it beforehand, or if you're going to dispose of it, then just dispose of it beforehand. Okay, we did soda cans, questionable. Some are lenient because you throw them away. Plastic cups, plastic tops. Some people are strict with. Most people are not. You don't have to. I mean, spoke to your local Orthodox rabbi. Metal, we are more strict with Magma Patish. Toilet paper can be used covered up brias on of the person, off the perforation, not on. You go in the middle and you use a shinui as well, by either splitting it or using a different hand or some other way of doing it. Diapers, we said, are okay. What?
Milk bags, because they'll have like.
Suck it, same thing. If you just cut it and then you just it's. That's okay. You can use a knife to do that, and you're going to dispose of it. Yeah. That was a quick run through. We're done.
Thank you.
We'll start the order of hides. A new set. Block 25 next class. Have a great day.
Have it like be here.